In my last video, I beat Pokemon Silver using only moves beginning with the letter S. I enjoyed it a lot, and you guys wanted to see more, so let's do it again in another game. And what better place to visit next than the game where my Pokemon journey started, Pokemon Blue. Of course, I don't want to be known as the S guy, so in this video, I will be beating Pokemon Blue using only moves that begin with the letter B. Out of the 165 total moves in Generation 1 of Pokemon games, only 11 begin with the letter B. There are still some strong moves available to me though, so I reckon this should still be good fun. Like before, I won't be using glitches or exploits to progress the game. I'm going to avoid overleveling past the next gym leader, and I can't use items in battle. Held items don't exist in Gen 1, which is probably a good thing because I definitely overused the roll safe meme in my last video. Understood? Okay, time for plan B. I wake up in my familiar monochromatic safe space that is Pallet Town. After exploring town a bit, Oak stops me when I enter the tall grass. This path is the only way to leave here by foot, so it does make me wonder if my character has ever left his hometown. In the lab, the immediate issue is that none of the original starter Pokemon begin the game with a move that starts with the letter B. Squirtle does learn Bubble early on at level 8, but I have no way of getting to that level if I can't attack. Therefore, I get creative and decide to swap in another Pokemon that will know Bubble at the starting level of 5. I have 3 choices here: Poliwag, Krabby, and Horsea. I choose Poliwag as its base attack and special stats most closely resemble Squirtle's. Unsurprisingly, I lose the first fight against my rival, A, as Bubble is not very effective against Bulbasaur. I don't think I'll be trying the optional fight on Route 22 in this challenge. Thankfully, I don't need to win this battle, so after being taunted by A, I'm now free to begin my journey. In the next town, I'm asked to deliver a parcel back to Professor Oak. I deliver this parcel to Oak in person, rather than taking the airfree approach of throwing it as hard as possible into his garden from 10 meters away. Rather than heading straight to Viridian Forest, I head west from Viridian City to Route 22 to catch my first wild Pokemon. I catch a Nidoran female. I'm not going to be using it for a little while, but I want to level it up while I'm traversing these early routes. There are no wild Pokemon of interest for me inside Viridian Forest on this occasion, so I decide to head straight through. The first gym leader is Brock. Of course, this is an extremely easy battle, as the only move I can use has type advantage against his Pokemon. Bubble, Bubble, Toil and Trouble, Onyx beaten, Brock is humbled. Okay, I can't believe it. I'm on Route 3 and I've just been defeated by I Like Shorts Kid. I was trying to level up my Nidoran, so it started the battle, but as I switched to Poliwag, his Rattata used a couple of tail whips and hit with a critical hit quick attack. I defeat Rattata, but Poliwag only has 1 HP left for Ekans and gets knocked out. Nidoran still doesn't know any moves beginning with B, so I use Growl to do no damage until Ekans eventually knocks it out. Oh dear. Oh my god. I managed to defeat Shorts Kid on the second attempt by leading with Poliwag, but after healing up, I lose to the very next trainer, alas with Rattata and Nidoran male. Again, the problem is Rattata's quick attack, and Poliwag's low defense stat. I really wasn't expecting this area to prove so much of a problem. I desperately need a second Pokemon capable of dealing damage, so I use the TM for Bide that I won from Brock on Nidoran female. I was hoping to save Bide for another Pokemon later on, but as Poliwag is having trouble beating Rattata 5 levels lower than it, my hand has been forced here. With Nidoran having learned Bide, I successfully navigate the rest of Route 3 to allow me to obtain my next Pokemon. And by obtain, I mean buy, of course.
Denied.
Oh, okay, because I lost all of those battles, it turns out I'm actually broke right now. After defeating some more trainers for their lunch money, I buy a Magikarp from £1 Fishman for 500 yen. Again, I can't use it yet, but we'll level it up as we travel. Entering Mount Moon, I catch a Zubat. Zubat will learn Bite at level 15, I've caught it at the highest available level to reduce the amount of battling I need to do to get there. Once Zubat learns Bite, I gain more flexibility to take on the stronger trainers in this area. I do manage to lose yet another battle though, against a Rocket with a level 16 Raticate. Quick attacks and critical hits are just wrecking my team early in this game. Before leaving Mount Moon, I come across 2 fossils. I debate stealing a recurring joke from another YouTuber, but I decide not to. I do hear that comments are good for the YouTube algorithm though, so comment below please. Upon arrival in Cerulean City, I can either take on the gym or head north to Bill's house. I decide to head north, but as I approach the bridge, A shows up for a battle. His starting Pidgeotto is tough. I start with Poliwag, but Bubble doesn't deal much damage, and Quick Attack hurts me a lot more. Switching to Nidoran, I get lucky as Bide hits despite Pidgeotto using Sand Attack. As I go for Bide again, a Gust knocks Nidoran down to red health. I switch Poliwag back in, hoping that Pidgeotto might waste a turn with Sand Attack, but a Gust knocks Poliwag out. Zubat comes out to finish off Pidgeotto with Bite. A's next Pokemon is Abra. It only knows Teleport, so this is a good opportunity to swap Magikarp in for some experience before Zubat comes back to defeat it. Next is his fearsome Rattata. I can't believe I've just written that sentence. Tackle hits for a quarter of Zubat's health, but thankfully it only uses Tail Whip after that, and Zubat knocks it out with Bite. Finally, it's Bulbasaur. Tackle is hitting hard, but I get a clutch flinch just as he's about to knock Zubat out, allowing for an extra turn of Bite to #secure the win. During the Nugget Bridge challenge, Nidoran evolves into Nidorina. I immediately use a Moonstone I found in Mount Moon to evolve it into Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is part ground type, so that's going to be extremely useful for the electric gym. By then, it will also learn a move that Nidorina doesn't learn by leveling up. I'll show you that in a bit. After beating the trainers on Nugget Bridge and Route 25, I reach Bill's house. Bill has taken his fandom to the next level and managed to get himself stuck inside one of his Pokemon. Not like that, so I help separate him back into human form. As a reward, he gives me a Stick-It so that I can get on board the San. Before facing Misty, I investigate a house that has just been burgled by Team Rocket. The police officer at the door is doing a terrible job of investigating because the perpetrator is hiding in plain sight in the back garden. Defeating him gives me access to Route 5 and, more importantly, the daycare. I drop off Magikarp and take the couple of thousand steps it needs to level up until I can evolve it into Gyarados. Gyarados learns Bite after evolving at level 20. Being able to resist water-type moves makes it the ideal Pokemon to face Misty with. With my preparation complete, Misty ends up being an easy battle. Zubat defeats Staryu using Bite, and Gyarados knocks out Starmie, also with Bite. I teach the Bubble Beam TM I get from this victory to Gyarados. I could have taught it to Poliwag also, but Gyarados has much higher stats, so I think it's going to be my water Pokemon of choice for the rest of this challenge. God, I am already tired of using Bide. Bide works by storing energy for 2 to 3 turns and then dealing back double the damage taken during that time. The big problem with this is that the trainer AI in Gen 1 is notoriously bad. Here's an example where a trainer's Pikachu repeatedly uses electric-type moves on my Nidoqueen, even though they don't affect it because it's a ground type. I switch out to Zubat, and rather than using the same electric moves, which would now be super effective, Pikachu now uses Quick Attack, which would have dealt damage to Nidoqueen. This kind of random behaviour just completely destroys Bide as a useful move. Thankfully, I'll have an upgrade soon. Our next stop is Vermilion City, which I've only recently learned is actually spelled with one L and not two. I board the SS Anne, which is docked in the harbour here, hosting some party for the Kanto rich and famous. Can you imagine how many annoying influencers and washed up celebrities would be on this thing nowadays? I battle the trainers on board the party boat with the objective of getting Nidoqueen to level 23, where it learns Body Slam. This is going to be one of the most important moves in the game for me. High power, plus a 30% chance to paralyse. Coincidentally, there's also a TM for Body Slam in one of the rooms here. I haven't decided which Pokemon to use it on yet, so I'll save it for later. A is lurking outside the captain's quarters, ready for another battle. My Gyarados is now way too strong for his team, with Bubble Beam and Bite knocking out Pidgeotto, Raticate, and Kadabra. My freshly evolved Golbat comes in to defeat Ivysaur with Bite. I cure the seasick captain via the medium of a back rub to receive the HM for cut, allowing me to access the third gym. A question for the original Gen 1 players. Did you ever hear rumours at school that the SS Anne would return to port after 1 year? It's nonsense, of course, but I love that you used to hear these things. My favourite rumour I remember hearing as a child was that you could get a motorbike in this game. Again, it's completely rubbish, but can you imagine how cool that would be? If you remember hearing any other myths or stories about these games which turned out to be complete lies, then let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear about them, genuinely. Inside Lieutenant Surge's gym, it's highly possible that I spent more time on the gym's famous switch puzzle than I did in this battle. Nidoqueen neutralises all of the best moves of his electric-type Pokemon, and Body Slam completely squashes them. As a reward for defeating him, Lieutenant Surge gives me the TM for Bolt of Thunder? No, I can't get away with that. The next step of my journey is to take a short trip through Diglett's cave to pick up the Flash Hate gem, before a much longer and more perilous journey through the dark of Rock Tunnel. A short while and about 15 battles with hikers later, I arrive in Lavender Town, which to me still has the most unsettling background music in any Pokemon game. I visit the Pokemon Tower, all while wondering aloud, gee, wouldn't it be great if this building was a radio station instead? On the second floor, A is waiting for me yet again. Gyarados defeats his Pidgeotto using Bubble Beam, and takes out A's own Gyarados with Bite. Dragon Rage hits for 40 damage though, so I decide to switch to Poliwhirl as Growlithe comes out. A few bubbles take that out, then my rival sends out Kadabra. Bubble barely does any damage, so I switch back to Gyarados, while A wastes a turn trying to use Teleport. Psychic types might be difficult for me later in this save, as I'm currently running 2 poison types. However, right now, Kadabra has a low defense stat, so another bite from Gyarados knocks it out. That leaves Ivysaur, which Nidoqueen defeats using Body Slam. I attempt to ascend the tower further, but I'm stopped by lots of scary ghosts telling me to get out. I decide to leave before I end up on one of those terrible paranormal activity TV shows you find on Channel 5. I'll return back here later. Take me down to the Celadon city where the grass is green and the trees are green and the buildings are green and the people are green. Oh god, why is everything green? There is plenty to do while I'm here. First, I head west to Route 16 to catch a Doduo. I've decided that this will be the Pokemon I use the Body Slam TM on. It will get the same type attack bonus from it, and its evolution, Dodrio, has high attack and speed stats. At the south of Celadon City is the 4th gym, led by Erica, the Grass-type trainer. She starts with Victory Bell, which misses a Sleep Powder on its first turn. Nidoqueen paralyzes it with the Body Slam on its second turn, but Victory Bell just manages to survive a third Body Slam and sends Nidoqueen to sleep. A critical hit Razor Leaf does a decent amount of damage, then Erica uses the opportunity to heal Victory Bell. Nidoqueen wakes up and a couple more Body Slams knock out Victory Bell. Erica's second Pokemon is Tangela. I switch to Golbat, who slowly chips away at its health with Bite, getting a couple of flinches along the way. Tangela only does minuscule damage with Bind before Golbat makes it faint. Her final Pokemon is Vileplume, which puts Golbat to sleep on the first turn. Fortunately for me, Vileplume's Grass-type moves can't deal much damage to Golbat, and it wakes up relatively quickly. Bite slowly works down Vileplume's health while it's stuck in Petal Dance, and a critical hit completes the victory and nets me badge number 4. In another example of shocking police detective work, it turns out that the Rocket Game Corner is a front for Team Rocket. The basement floors here are filled with rocket grunts and weird spinny floor tiles that definitely aren't passing a risk assessment anytime soon. The person responsible for this health and safety nightmare is Giovanni. His first 2 Pokemon are both rock types, which Gyarados easily beats with a pair of Michael Bublé beams. Kangaskhan is his last Pokemon, but another double Bubble Beam wins the battle. Giovanni disappears, leaving behind the Sylph Scope, allowing us to identify the ghosts in the Pokemon Tower. Back at the Pokemon Tower, I catch my next Pokemon, Cubone. Cubone gives me access to ground-type moves, which are going to be very useful for the upcoming Poison-type gym. The first one it learns is Bone Club, which sounds like the 200th different spin-off of the wrestling stable Bullet Club. At the top of Pokemon Tower, I calm the spirit of Marowak, and then save Mr. Fuji from a bunch of Team Rocket grunts. I didn't even know there was someone in need of rescuing here, I was just here for the spooky vibes. For rescuing Mr. Fuji, he rewards me with a Pokeflute. Heading back to Celadon City, I use it to wake up and catch a Snorlax. Snorlax is another that can learn Body Slam, this time at level 35. It replaces Poliwhirl in my party, which has become kind of obsolete at this point with how well Gyarados is performing. From here, it's a fast trip down cycling road to reach Fuchsia City. I need to do a bit more training before I take on the next gyms, so I decide to head back up to Lavender Town and take the long and winding road back down to Fuchsia. Pokémon Blue was our first Pokémon game. I remember going around a friend's house and they maybe had a copy of Red or Yellow, so we got Blue. My sister and I both actually had our own Game Boy Colors, but we shared a cartridge for Blue. The first starter we chose was Squirtle. On our first save together, we got to about 5 badges in, and then one morning my sister decided to start a new game with Bulbasaur. We did this a lot, but we never saved over it, so it was alright. However, on that particular day, she did save over our game. Cue a massive falling out between us and a tantrum. The result of all this was we were banned from playing video games before school, which was definitely a sensible decision looking back. The story does have a nice ending though. We continued that save with Bulbasaur all the way through to the end, and it ended up becoming a level 100 Venusaur, possibly the only time I've actually ever had a starter reach level 100. I can't imagine we trained up too many of the other Pokemon in that save. Anyway, to my sister, who is no doubt watching this, I forgive you. Just kidding, I will carry this grudge to my grave. The 5th gym leader is Koga, who uses poison types. I always forget that they refer to moves as techniques in these early games. Anyway, I've evolved my Cubone into Marowak and proceed to f*** up Koga's first 3 Pokemon using its ground type techniques. Koga's final Pokemon is Weezing, but he decides to use self-destruct and throw the battle. Generation 1, folks! Gym 6 is back in Saffron City, but when I get there, there's a Team Rocket grunt blocking the entry. In fact, they are all over the city. One of them has fallen asleep out the front of the Silphco headquarters, which seems suspicious, so I investigate. It turns out that Team Rocket have taken over the entire building, and it falls to me to sweep the building of bad guys floor by floor like I'm in Die Hard. In the middle of all this, A challenges me to yet another battle. I'm trying to decide whether this is a more inappropriate time and place to hold a battle than last time, given that happened in a literal Pokemon graveyard. A starts with Pidgeot. A Bubble Beam does less than half damage, but Pidgeot's wing attack does even less. I use Bite on turn 2 to avoid any risk of switching or healing, and my rival wastes a turn attempting Whirlwind. Turn 3, Pidgeot hits a critical hit quick attack, but another Bubble Beam finishes it off. Next it's the Duel of the Gyarados. Some would even say Dos Gyarados. Too Gary, too furious. I stay consistent with using Bite, while my rival uses Leer twice and Bite only once. It does lower my Gyarados to below half health, but consistency turns out to be the key here. His third Pokemon is Growlithe, and that's easy to defeat with a single Bubble Beam. After that, it's Alakazam. I send out Dodrio, which is fast enough to outpace it, and strong enough to knock it out with one Body Slam. Venusaur is his final Pokemon, but 2 more Body Slams are all I need to win the battle. With that distraction out the way, I can proceed to the top floor to face Team Rocket's boss, Giovanni, again. Giovanni does himself no favours here by using Guard Spec on 2 of his Pokemon, rather than using those turns to attack. Gyarados knocks out Nidorino, Dodrio defeats Kangaskhan with Body Slam, and Gyarados returns to sweep Rhyhorn and Nidoqueen with Bubble Beam. Saffron City rejoices as it is free from Team Rocket's grip, and I rejoice as I get to fight more gym leaders. Sabrina, the Psychic-type leader, is the resident here. Her first Pokemon is Kadabra. I lead with Gyarados and Bite. She immediately heals with a Hyper Potion, which feels like cheating. However, a second Bite takes Kadabra down from full health. Mr. Mime is her second Pokemon and Bite gets a critical hit this time to one-shot it. Venomoth is a dual-type bug and poison Pokemon, so I switch to Marowak. Marowak is still quite slow, so Stun Spore paralyzes it before I can get a hit in. Venomoth then hits with Psybeam, as Bone Club takes it to half health. Another turn of paralysis allows a couple more hits with Psybeam and Leech Life, but thankfully Marowak doesn't get confused in addition to paralysis, and a second Bone Club can knock Venomoth out. Her ace is Alakazam. Here it uses a weak Psywave on its first turn, and Dodrio gets a critical hit Body Slam to seal the victory. I don't think I needed the crit there. I'm really enjoying having this Dodrio. With everything on the mainland done for now, I can finally take a trip across the sea to Cinnabar Island. I tried to enter the gym when I first arrived, but it's locked. I hope the trainers inside have their own keys, otherwise I don't know how long it's been since they last saw daylight. Exploring the burned out building next door, I find a TM for Blizzard in the lower floors. I've decided to teach Blizzard to Gyarados. It's got the highest special stats on my team by a long way, and I don't fancy training up Lapras that I was gifted in the Sylph building. Deeper inside the mansion, I find the secret key which unlocks the gym. Inside, the situation is as I feared. Look at this poor super nerd, he's wasting away. This gym is led by the fire-type trainer Blaine. Yeah, okay, this is another easy battle. The first 3 Pokemon are one-shots, and Arcanine misses a takedown on the only attack Blaine gets to make. Having a strong water-type move has been so important in these 2 challenges I've completed so far. The next one I'm planning won't give me this option though, so that should result in my team looking a little bit different. Circling back to Viridian City, the gym leader there has finally returned, so it's time to get the last badge. In a terrible look for the Pokemon League system, it turns out that crime boss Giovanni is the leader of the strongest gym in the region. Seriously, how does this happen? Did the Elite Four just forget that this guy had a badge or something, or is he paying someone off? Maybe that's what spurs Lance into action in the Gen 2 games. Perhaps he feels guilty that all this happened on his watch. Anyway, this battle is another one I have type advantage for, so a little bit of the Bubbly Beam from Gyarados, and a cameo appearance from Marowak, is all that's needed to get that final badge. It's now time for me to head to the Pokemon League headquarters itself, but before I can get too far, I have to battle A again. Blizzard helps me out against Pidgeot and Gyarados, and Rhyhorn and Growlithe are one-shots. Alakazam takes a bit more time to deal with on this occasion. It is faster than Dodrio and raises a reflect barrier. It uses recover after the first hit, but the second causes paralysis, meaning that Dodrio can be faster the following turn and knock it out. Venusaur is last. Its Razor Leaf misses first turn, but gets a critical hit the second. Dodrio is still able to knock it out with 3 body slams. With A out of my way, I can continue through Victory Road to reach the Pokémon League. Before proceeding any further, I do some last minute training, which involves one of my Pokémon learning the final new move I will be using in this challenge. At level 48, Marowak learns Boomerang, which is honestly just one of the best move names ever. This move is basically Bone Club that hits twice. It's also a little bit more accurate. This is my team heading into the Elite Four for the first time. I am pretty underleveled across my team, and I think I'll struggle against some of the heavy hitters I'll be facing. Of particular concern to me are the Lorelei and Agatha battles, but Lance might not be too fun either if he manages to knock out Gyarados. As before, I can't use items in battle, but I can heal between battles. Let's go. Ice-type trainer Lorelei is up first. A bite from Gyarados gets a critical hit and a flinch on the first turn. Dugong misses a growl on the second turn, and another critical hit on the turn after knocks it out. It's Cloyster next. I switch to Snorlax to give Gyarados a break, but I get caught in a critical hit Clamp on the first turn. Clamp operates like Wrap in this game, so all I can do is wait for it to release Snorlax, which doesn't happen in time to prevent it from fainting. Seeing that Gyarados was in fact the best option, I send it back out to start working away at Cloyster's health with Bite and Bubble Beam. Gyarados gets confused by Supersonic, but only hurts itself in confusion once, before finishing off Cloyster with a Bubble Beam. Slowbro is her third Pokémon. It keeps using stats boosting moves like Withdraw and Amnesia, as Dodrio chips away with Body Slam with ever diminishing returns. Lorelei uses a late Super Potion before a critical hit Body Slam finishes it off. Jinx is next, and 2 bites knock it out, with Gyarados taking damage from Thrash in return. Lapras is her final Pokémon. I start with another bite, but Lapras hits a Confuse Ray. Gyarados hurts itself in confusion, then gets paralysed by Body Slam. The double stack of status conditions forces me to switch and sacrifice Golbat to a Blizzard. Dodrio comes out next turn and hits a Body Slam, then faints to another Blizzard. Blizzard misses on the next turn, allowing Marowak to hit a Boomerang to reduce Lapras's health to red. But before I can finish it off, Blizzard hits yet again to knock Marowak out. I'm still worried about sending a paralysed Gyarados out, so Nidoqueen comes in, and happily it outspeeds Lapras to defeat Lorelei. Yeah, that was a close one. Her ice moves just ripped through my team once Gyarados got hurt, so that could have gone either way I think. After healing up, I face the second of the Elite Four, Bruno. His Onix are both easy KOs with Bubble Beam, so the real challenges here will be the fighting types. Thankfully, Bruno is too obsessed with using X-Defense on his Hitmonchan, and when he does attack, it's a miss with Mega Punch, rather than the more accurate and super effective Ice Punch. A combination of Boomerang and Bone Club take it out. Dodrio one-shots Hitmonlee with a critical hit Body Slam, so after the second Onix, Bruno's last Pokemon is Machamp. Body Slam paralyzes on turn 1, and then critical hits turn 2. With Machamp's health in the red, Bruno uses an X-Defend again, and Dodrio finishes the battle the next turn. Why? How could I lose? How about trying to deal some damage, dude? Seriously, I took no damage during that battle. Trainer 3 is Agatha, the Ghost and Poison type user, so I go in expecting shenanigans. What I didn't expect though was her switching out her Gengar on the first turn, sending out Golbat, which Marowak can't hit with its ground type moves. I respond by switching in Gyarados, with Bubble Beam eventually knocking it out after she uses 2 Super Potions to heal. Gengar and Marowak return to the battle, with Gengar hitting a Nightshade for decent damage. The super effective Boomerang does its job here though, the double hit being enough to take out Gengar and her next Pokemon, Haunter. Marowak is confused, so to save its health for later in the battle, I send in Snorlax to face Arbok. It's time for more shenanigans, as Agatha switches in Gengar, which Snorlax is unable to damage. I send out Gyarados, as Gengar tries a Dream Eater, even though none of my Pokemon are asleep. I go for a Bubble Beam, but Agatha withdraws Gengar and sends Arbok back out. I can't keep up with this. Another Bubble Beam takes Arbok out, leaving her with 1 Pokemon left and putting an end to her constant bait and switching. Marowak gets confused by her second Gengar and hurts itself in confusion multiple times before fainting to a Nightshade. Gyarados is sent out, and Gengar uses Toxic to poison it. I use Bubble Beam to bring Gengar's health down to yellow before Gyarados gets confused as well. Combined confusion and toxic damage is a recipe for disaster, so I switch in Snorlax for a while to stop the bleeding. I forget that Nightshade actually hits normal types in Gen 1, so a combination of that, toxic, and confusion cause Snorlax to faint. Gyarados is back, and Gengar again wastes a turn attempting a Dream Eater. In Pokemon Red and Blue, this second Gengar doesn't actually have a move that puts Pokemon to sleep, in somewhat of an oversight. Bubble Beam finally puts an end to this wild ride. The final trainer of the Elite Four is the Capes Crusader himself, Lance. Dodrio does a wonderful job here. 2 consecutive critical hits to start the battle knock out Lance's Gyarados, only taking 40 HP damage from Dragon Rage in return. Dodrio continues against Dragonair and is again able to knock it out in 2 with Body Slam. It repeats the trick against the next Dragonair, despite an agility somehow giving Dragonair move priority even while paralysed. Gyarados comes in to face Aerodactyl. Lance opts for takedown, and Bubble Beam reduces most of Aerodactyl's health. Aerodactyl's bite causes Gyarados to flinch, but Aerodactyl misses the Supersonic the turn after, allowing another Bubble Beam to finish it off. Lance's final Pokemon is Dragonite. A Hyper Beam could spell trouble for me, but Gyarados is faster, and the 4 times effective Blizzard hits first time to defeat Lance and become the Pokemon Champion. Or maybe not. It turns out that my rival A has beaten me to the punch and become the true Pokemon Champion before me. He's been 1 step ahead of me this whole journey, so it's time to show him who's better once and for all. Let this battle commence, one last time. A starts by sending out Pidgeot. I go for Blizzard with Gyarados, which misses, allowing Pidgeot to play an Uno reverse card, using Mirror Move to hit Gyarados with Blizzard. I try again, and my Blizzard hits this time. However, being this underleveled is fast becoming an issue, and Pidgeot survives to use Mirror Move and Blizzard again. I don't want to take a chance on another miss with Blizzard and potentially risk being frozen, so I use Bite to finish it off. A's Alakazam starts by using Recover, despite having full health. 1 Body Slam from Dodrio is not enough to take it out, and Psybeam hits for massive damage and confuses. Fortune smiles upon Dodrio, and it avoids hurting itself to knock out Alakazam with a second Body Slam. Rhydon is easy to take out with a critical hit Bubble Beam, so now it's time for the Gyarados Mirror Battle. Mine starts with Blizzard, but that does very little damage, and I get hit with Dragon Rage in return. 2 more turns of Bite and Dragon Rage leaves the enemy with some health and my own Gyarados with not much health at all. I decide to attack again anyway, as I've still got Marowak to use against Arcanine, and Generation 1 Trainer AI strikes again, as A's Gyarados uses Leer to lower the defense of my Gyarados, while it has only 4 HP left. This mistake allows me to hit another Bite to knock it out. Arcanine is fast, and a critical hit takedown removes most of Marowak's health, before Bone Meringue does the same to Arcanine. Yet again my rival goes for Leer rather than dealing damage, and Bone Club crits to leave A with just his starter Pokemon left, Venusaur. I send out Dodrio to hit first with Body Slam. Venusaur starts charging up Solar Beam, so I swap in Golbat to take the hit. I use a turn of Bite with Golbat, and Venusaur uses Growth, which I really do not want it doing too often. I send Dodrio back in, and Body Slam paralyzes. Unfortunately, the boosted power of Solar Beam is enough to knock Dodrio out. With Venusaur paralysed, I decide to take a risk with my 4 HP Gyarados again. If Blizzard misses, the rest of my team could be in trouble against a powered up Venusaur, with A likely to use a full restore if I can't knock it out soon. But you know what happens when one of my Pokemon is down to low health in important battles. It fights on. After a title reign shorter than Drew McIntyre's, I defeat A to become the new Pokemon League champion. Well, that was a lot of fun again. That ended up being maybe a little easier than I thought it would. I genuinely think the hardest part of this game was surviving Route 3. I hate to go on about it, but man, the trainer AI in these games is just completely random most of the time. But that's fine, it just means I'll have to stack the odds against myself even more next time I revisit this generation. And yes, I will be revisiting this generation in the future. Not next time though, because I've already started recording for the next video, which will be my first challenge in Generation 3. And oh boy, it's been quite a challenge so far, so this should be really interesting. In the meantime, if you haven't yet seen my previous video, then see the link to watch it here. Please also subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.